Let's look at the week of February 16th. But we're going to recap the past week and the past 2 months because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the world. I'm Holly Hall from Askhollyhall.com. I am a life coach that uses clairvoyance. I'm a master astrologer with a background in education, philosophy, psychology, neurolinguistic programming, clairvoyance, and remote viewing. We're going to take a look at the past week in which we had a full moon. I do Sidereal West Eastern astrology, close to Vedic. And we had a full moon on a cusp, which was Cancer and Leo, and that was really overwhelming. Many of my clients were texting me, emailing me in panic, wondering, what is going on? My mind is going crazy. I think I'm going to lose it. Some people started off very calm at the beginning of the work week, and then Wednesday found themselves very agitated, irritated. It is a time when there was a lot of drama. You would have been focusing on your family dynamic, whether it's your childhood family dynamic, because it was a mix between Cancer and Leo, and looking at that inner child. How have you treated that inner child? If you were to work with a child that came to you with the same problems that you had, how would you have navigated that child to deal with the monster in the mind? What would you do? I had a great example with one of my clients, and I said, if a child came up to you and said that they were in danger, they were 8 years old, and there was this particular person in their life that was doing a particular thing, would you remove that child from the situation or try to remove the child from the situation if it was very dangerous to them? Or would you tell the child to go back, negotiate with that monster or that scary person or that frightening situation and deal with it like an adult? No, you would not. So the example that I used for the full moon this week, and you still have time to take a look at that. How would you deal with your situation if it was a child coming to you with the exact same drama and trauma? And once you come up with that answer, that's exactly how you want to deal with yourself. I also said that this past week, we were going to get some shocking news, and it was going to pull on the heartstrings of the family. Like, we are family, we are one. We're doing this with and for each other. So let me just recap some of the things that happened in the United States and in Canada. One of the ones is that in the last month, Carney has come into the picture in Canada and has put a cog in the wheel and said, I am going to be running for Liberal. Many people who were anti-liberal are now turning towards liberal because they're making it look as if there is a monster in the room, and that is the United States, represented by Donald Trump. And that is where the heartstrings are being pulled. We are here to protect you from the monster who wants to invade, the boogeyman who is in your closet. And because this is a frightening situation, we are here to protect you. But the interesting thing is that they're not saying it's actually scary or frightening and laying down all of the details of why it is. They're just saying, I'm going to protect you. I'm going to heal you. I'm going to help you. And it makes everyone look around going, oh, we need protection. We need help. We need healing. Okay, sure, do it. But we have no idea from what and why and where the boogeyman is and what the boogeyman is. And I'm not saying there isn't one or there is one, but the idea that this is coming across as I am your protector from something scary, someone scary and frightening who's going to gobble you up is concerning to me. And that's what that full moon, new moon drama did. And it happened. It happened all this week in the Canadian news, anyways. In the American news, it was very similar to that, except that it was more around we want to protect Americans. We want to focus on Americans. You are my children. You are my siblings. You are my family. And let's not outsource ourselves to the rest of the world. And let's just keep everything and all the resources within our own community, our own village. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? That's up to you to determine. However, that is how it was coming across. And then we have Brother Elon, and we have Father Trump, and we have Sister Caroline Levitt. And then we have cousin possibly once removed RFK. Junior. So we have this family dynamic happening within the United States. And of course, they are all there to protect you as well, including the Gaza Strip, which was a monkey wrench into everything. Now, let's take a look at what's going on in the future. There is going to be a bubble that's going to remain in the real estate industry. And the reason that I am mentioning that is because we are looking at quite a bit of action going on with Mercury. Now, Mercury is not going to be going retrograde soon, but we do want to consider that Mercury is going to be going retrograde in mid-March, and that's when we want to be careful of when the drop of the crash of real estate begins mid-March. But what's happening right now? Because Mercury is going to be moving, it's moved this week into Aquarius. And with it being in Aquarius, there is a need from let's be in control. Let's have everything the way that we want it. Let's be afraid of Big Brother. Let's expect Big Brother or big corporations or government to protect us to. No, we want our freedom. We want to do things our way. We want to do things. We're not victims anymore. Now, Venus is still in Pisces, so there is this victim mentality, but you're going to see a drastic shift now that Jupiter is moving forward in Taurus towards how am I going to be able to make sure that my financial needs are being met. I'm going to give you a long-term goal around the career and the job market and your financial income at the end of this session that I'm going to be talking about for the week. But let's take a look at the 16th when we've got Moon moving into Virgo for the first 2 days of Sunday and Monday, 16th, 17th of February. You're going to find yourself being very particular, quite picky, actually, critical, self-critical, and putting that into victim mentality where you're going to feel like you're alone. There's nobody who understands you. You feel alienated. You feel very separate from society, from community, and you may find yourself trying to side with all of the gossip that's going to be going on because we've got Mars and Gemini still in retrograde. So there's a lot of lies and deceptions. Even what you think is the truth, read between the lines. And be careful that you are not spreading news and gossip in order to belong to a side. You see, sides have become groups of tribals, family members that we belong to. And it feels like you have to pick a side, the lesser of two evils, so to speak. So be very careful that you're not doing that just so that you can feel like you belong. If you are doing that, Monday and Tuesday, you're going to start have critical thinking around it. Is this necessary? Is this right for me? What is right? What is wrong? And it's interesting because in mid of the week, which is the 19th and the 20th of February, there is going to be a huge legal battle. Now, this in the United States might be around RFK, and in Canada, I believe that one candidate, and it might be Pierre, a legal battle is going to be going against them. I'm also getting Doug Ford around this. And they're going to have to account for some actions that they took at one time. Now, and the same thing in the States, and that might be with RFK and his confirmation. In the world, I see this being an attack from one of the European countries against the United States. And I see it as being more of the Eastern European countries. I'm not getting a direct hit on that one. However, it is going to be around legal and illegal battle, and it's not fair. The whole thing is not fair. And it comes out through a whistleblower that goes viral, and it's the real deal. However, the viral portion of that whistleblower is going to be manipulated. So if that whistleblower's content that you're watching is not directly from its source, So whether it was a podcaster that displayed the whistleblower's information, the original podcast, or the government, don't pay attention to it because it's all going to be twisted and manipulated so you can pick sides. You're going to feel a need to be right in midweek, and you're going to feel a need to want fairness. There's actually going to be half the population wanting justice to be implemented, and the other half is going to go, this is not even fair. This shouldn't even be anything that should go into the court systems at all. Personally, you're going to find that you're judging others. Really take a look and point the finger back at yourself. When you judge others for being judgmental, you are also being judgmental. Take a look at the fundamental implications of where your message is coming from. This week is going to end up a little volatile, specifically on the weekend. And I mean volatile because there's going to be a huge trust factor. Very quickly, the BS meter comes out. It's validated that this was inaccurate information, not from the whistleblower, but how it was spun after that. And then there's going to be a massive trust issue amongst people. Now, this could also happen in your workplace or within your own personal dynamic. Who can you trust? You can only trust yourself. And that's how you have to look at it at the end of the day. Now, as for real estate, as I had said, you're going to see the downturn around mid-March. So if you want to sell your home, do it ASAP. Don't do any tweaks or, put a whole bunch of things in boxes and maybe hire someone to do a quick 1-day paint job if necessary. But other than that, just sell it as is ASAP. Don't wait any longer on that. Now, I did promise you one more thing. The job market. By 2030, yes, guys, 5 years from now, the job market is going to significantly be cut to 30%. I do a lot of research, and my gut tells me what's right and what's wrong. Also, when I get a download, I look and research to see if this is an actuality as well. So my information comes on both sides. It comes from information that anyone can find on the net and my gut instinct or intuition or download, and also looking at what's going on astrologically. By 2030, jobs will be down 30%. If you find yourself lost, confused, I don't know what to do. How am I going to make money? Where's my money going to come from? I'm afraid of the future. Stop. Things are going to change so drastically by 2030 that you won't need to work. I know that sounds, everybody will have nothing and be happy. I know that sounds like a very strong WEF kind of statement, but it's not. It's an AI statement. By 2035, it'll be more than 50%. I want you to look at, just to calm your minds a bit, okay? Look at 100 years ago. 100 years ago, 2025. In 2025, we were in the industrial age. It was very deep into the industrial age at that point. And almost everybody had a job, mostly men, some women in the workforce. World War I was over. Most of the women got out of the workforce and were able to enjoy working from home and building large families. This was a time when we started to prosper before World War II came into play. However, even prior to that, okay, anywhere from 100 years ago and beyond, we did not have dual incomes, triple incomes, high mortgages. We didn't have to work ourselves to the bone to pay a mortgage. It was more manual labor, so there was a working, to the bone to an extent. There was local food, and we grew local food. And I'm not saying it was utopia or little house on the prairie, leave it to beaver kind of environment, but working to climb the corporate ladder, to have a high income so you could travel, so you could buy exotic foods, so you could have an expensive car or have a bigger home. It just wasn't a thing. And it really never was prior to that for the average person. Now we have that in the last 40 years at our fingertips, specifically the last 10 years. So imagine in 2030 to 2035, we go back to that day and age, except we have more modern technology, transportation, and luxuries available to us without the need to work and climb the corporate ladder and get an expensive education, but to just provide for ourselves and our family. If you're wanting to leave the matrix, you'd have the ability, you will have the ability to have your food the way that you want it locally and have your locals provide for you, build your home, your back shed, get you a ride to the airport and travel, etc. But there won't be a need to work as hard as we have had to for the last 40 years, specifically the last 10 years. We are all stuck on a hamster wheel, and it is only getting faster and faster and faster, and we can't keep up. So this is actually a blessing in disguise. Some people are afraid of AI. I do see the problems that can happen with AI, but I do not believe that ultimately we will allow it to get that far out of hand. That is my take. Maybe I'm living in a utopian world. I am optimistic and I believe in technology. And everyone thought the same with the industrial age. No one wanted their horses taken away from them. No one could afford a car when they first came out. For some people, it was impossible that they would ever be able to afford a car, or anyone could in the future. It was for the rich. Now everybody has one or two, if not more, and we go through them every few years. Same thing with technology that is moving forward. But remember, technology doesn't have a soul. I'm going to do a video on that one. That's going to be what gets in the way of it getting out of hand. Namaste.